Cracking.
Hi guys, and welcome back to the Once You're In podcast. This is episode 39. We're one episode away from 40 episodes, mate. We're a big time podcast now. We're apparently number one in the world, according to one person.
Who doesn't follow me?
I don't even know if he follows me.
Yeah, I don't think he followed you either. I checked, he didn't follow either of us. So I'm like, he listens to the podcast, but it says he doesn't follow us. So it's a bit, imagine just searching and you're like, once you're in, and you're like, oh my God, this is bodybuilding related. Wow, this is such a good podcast.
I wonder if we have people that listen who found us just solely through the podcast. You know what I mean? Like, so they didn't know us on Instagram. They didn't see it reshared on Instagram, but they literally just found the podcast. Either they typed it in or it just came up or something.
Would be weird, wouldn't it?
Surely there's no one listening to this that doesn't know us or know
I feel
of
like
us or know bodybuilding.
If the podcast title was like bodybuilding with junior, like stuff like that. Like, if it was like bodybuilding orientated, then maybe. But like, once you're in, you're in. Like, you have to be in to know.
You do have to be in.
You have to be in. You have to be in. You can't just be away and not know. So yeah, how's life, mate? How's the week been for you? Chosen few athlete. You're a chosen few athlete, mate.
No, mate, too fat.
Too fat, fair enough.
Too fat. They did message me. Said they asked for some recent physique shots. I sent them through. Like, oh, sorry, mate, too fat. So, yeah, no.
They didn't even reply. They just aired you. No, Did you put cheers for the photos, mate? Thanks.
They didn't even put that. They just blocked me. Oh, sorry.
You
it's been
one
good. Don't think there's much to report. Been a decent week. Yeah, training's going all right. Left shoulder / back's a little bit annoying, but it's okay, manageable. So yeah, all good, mate.
Fantastic update, that, mate.
Don't need to give much more than that, do I?
You don't. How's body weight been, mate? How's food? Appetite? We spoke about a tidy up last week. Anything you wanted to touch upon that?
I'm not doing that.
You're not tidying up.
No, we only spoke about it because I said to you that I was going to do one anyway, but it's not it is in the near future, but not like in the next few weeks. I'd like to. I'm not necessarily looking at body weight, but I'd like to at least try and get back into a bit of. I feel like momentum at the minute isn't in the best place because of my back. So if I can get into a better spot there, and then feel like even if training is like it was a month ago, where my back was still an issue, but it was nowhere near like it is now, then I'll be more than happy to pull back from then. But now I'm thinking more so probably May, June, July time, anywhere around there for probably about 8 to 12 weeks, depending on how long I need. Probably 12 is a bit excessive.
I'd say 12 is excessive. I'd say 8 would be around. Yeah. I think you'd surprise yourself. I think 8 to 10. If you're handling the whole, I think you won't spend much longer than 6 weeks in the actual deficit, if I'm honest. It'll probably be 8 to 10 weeks, but that'll be like 2 or so actually dipping yourself in, 2 or so pulling yourself out. If I was to look at things, I wouldn't be saying you need to be pulling off a massive amount of body weight. What did you say, like 190 to 195 maybe? Maybe 200?
Yeah, I reckon I'd pull off about 30 pounds. So that's like low to mid 190s. I reckon I could do that in 8 to 10 weeks pretty easily. And then
you looked relatively all right at 1.9. I remember when we looked through, your photos of the yearly summary. Last year, but technically at the end. I remember we both were like, mate, 190, I think it was until you got to 200 pounds where you looked a little bit softer. You looked relatively decent up until.
Well, you think it's 30 pounds? If I was to pull off 30 pounds of body weight, you're going to look quite a lot leaner. Even though I'm still not going to be lean, I'm not going to be shredded. You're going to be quite a bit leaner.
Hey, I heard in a gym that any more than 30 pounds of a prep is because you just got too fat in an off season.
Did you?
Yeah. Trust me, he's huge as well. He's never pushed up more than 8 kilos. So, it's impressive that.
I saw a post the other day that he put on.
From him? Yeah. Go on, tell us.
There's not much to tell. It was just, he's one of them that's like, oh, I'm working in the shadows. I'm not going to show any physique shots. But then he was he just put up his legs. And I was like, he's still kind of showing it off. I think that as well, especially for, I get it to an extent, when it's people who are really well known, who have got a massive following, or who are pros. Like, I get that. But I feel like when you're not so well known and you generally, it's like, I think it's his first prep, isn't it?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. Like, document it. People want to know. People want to see how you're improving. People want to see how you're improving, how you're getting leaner. Like, that's how we will have got quite a lot of clients over time, is that people have seen that we've been able to get lean, do a contest prep, you know, shown how we've actually done it, shown the journey of doing it, shown the training while we've been doing it, rather than just being like, oh, I'm just not going to post anything. Like, no one cares. No one's waiting for you to post. No one's like, oh, I wish you
Nobody actually, and genuinely, nobody gives a fuck, really.
No,
like,
nobody cares.
You know, when you were like post, let's say I'd never posted a photo, and like, and this is the thing, I think I remember speaking to Sanaya, and I she was quite stunned when I said it, but I was like, you know, nobody gives a fuck when they comment on your photos. Like, when you comment on someone else's photo, do you actually look at it for more than a second and go, oh, that looks good? Do you actually like go and get so invested? Like, people that, like, if I was to not post a photo and then I was to compete this year and win a show, people would be like, oh my God, mate, this is sick. But none of them give a fuck.
No, you know, realistically, it's like, oh, that's cool. That's it.
Yeah, that's it. There's no substance past that. And what you mentioned is people get invested more so in the process. So it's like, for you, and like how people would have found you or me, and in the grand scheme of things, when nobody, but like, if you were to think about it, it's like, oh, we post our training, post that, and it's more so, this is the process of how I'm doing it, and people could tag along to that. But the actual finished product, like, I don't look at my prep and think, oh my God, I loved my moments on stage. I look back and think, like, I really enjoyed the process, like the whole project. I like looking at the photos of when I started to then the midpoint. And then I remember thinking, fucking hell, I remember waking up that day, literally going like, I feel awful. And it was like, where it was that's the part of the process. I don't look at it and go, oh my God, those stage photos were so worth it. I just look at it and think that's literally the conclusion towards the process.
It's the exact same for, like, you could talk about this regardless of competing. Yeah. Like, I've said it before, like, I wish probably from like when I was maybe 18 to 20, 21, like, I wish I'd have taken loads more photos, filmed my training a lot more, because looking back, I'd be like, fucking hell, like, that's mental. Like, I've got very few photos. I've got from when I, like, before I started training to when I was already a few years in. Like, I wish I'd have taken a lot more between that time, because again, it sort of lets you almost just sort of assess that journey and just sort of reminisce about it a bit, like, at times. Like, it's like when it comes up on Instagram, when it comes up with an old post, like, you reminisce a little bit about how you felt at that point and what you were doing at that time in your life. And like, I'll see ones come up and I'll be like, that's before I even did my PT course. That's before I even like went to uni, or when I was like first year of uni or whatever. But it's the same kind of thing. Like, if I was to not post anything and then 10 years later post a photo of me, and you'd be like, oh yeah, he looks good. But it's like, that journey is the whole point. I say it to my clients all the time. They're like, oh, I can't wait to finish this phase, or I can't wait until I look like this or like that. And I'm like, that's not the point. Like, even when you get to that point, you'll never be happy. You'll never be 100% like, oh yeah, I'm done. There's never a end goal. It's always like, right, now, like, this is the focus. This is what you want to get towards. And if you don't enjoy it while you're doing it, then you'll never enjoy it.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's like, I remember like the days I woke up on all the shows, I was literally like, right, let's get this done. Like, it wasn't like, oh, I don't want to do it. Or it wasn't like, oh my God, I'm so excited. It was literally like, okay, cool, this is what I'm doing. You know, it's the same as like the same excitement when I got up and was like, oh, I'm doing my cardio. I remember I used to finish my hour's worth of cardio in the morning, and I'd like literally give myself like, not a tap on the back, because that sounds fucking cringy.
No, I know what you mean. You'd be happy.
You'd be like, good stuff. You'd be like, that's one step closer. And like, I'd literally just be like, it was the same as on the show days. I remember like walking to the town theatre, the first show, and I had a few people like come up and that I knew through Instagram. They were like, you nervous? You excited? I'm like, no, like, I'll just see how things go. Like, I said it'll be quite cool to see what the process is like.
The work's already been done anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
All that you can obviously impact it in terms of posing and everything, but by that point of getting there, like, the work should already be done. 100%. You shouldn't be thinking like, oh, what if this happens or what if that happens? Like, you should have already kind of gone through it all anyway in your head.
Yeah. Yeah, no, exactly. So, yeah, like I said, it is more so just enjoying the process, and it's the same as like the gaining phase. Like I'll look back at like post show was a weird time because like I felt like everybody around me was almost like from the competed were like post show so hard, post shows this, and I was like, this is fucking mint. Like I really liked actually getting back into a tune with my training, like getting back into a groove, and it's now where like I'm finally the last like month or two I'm in that process where you're just doing the same stuff and you're like, okay, cool, this is where you make the most progress. But I feel like a lot of people, they like that difference, like I remember coming out of the show and I was like, oh my god, this is so different. I can like, if I was like, I didn't, but let's say I was like, oh my god, I don't have to be doing my cardio tomorrow, like I don't have to do that, like where before it was like a non-negotiable. And it was where like I was kind of like going back and forth in my mind, and I was like, it's quite nice to have a bit of flexibility, but then I was still missing that feeling of being quite routine. So like right now I feel like I'm in a prep because I'm training the exact same on the exact same days. My food is the exact same, and it has been literally since the prep ended. The only difference is I'm not looking at myself in a mirror and thinking, oh my god, I'm looking skinnier, and I'm just looking, fucking, I'm getting fat, my head's huge.
That's what makes it so much easier, is that it's not a massive difference between a gaining phase and a diet phase. Again, stuff that I say to my clients, they're like, oh, what's going to change? Like now I'm in a gaining phase, what changes? I'm like,
nothing.
You're literally just going to be eating a bit more and you're eating a bit less, like when we do make those changes. Like, but I think that's what makes it so easy. Because again, for me, like when it comes to doing like my pre-prep diet, like obviously I've not dieted in like 70 odd weeks. Like it'll feel weird. It will be once I've like literally done the first day, I'll be like, oh yeah, like, I'm dieting again. Like, oh yeah, that's it. And then I'll get leaner, and then I'll go and push up again, and then I'll get leaner to compete. Like it is the process. If you don't enjoy it, like all I'd be thinking from when I stepped off stage is like, oh, 2023. That's all I'm focusing on. Like, no, like, I'm focusing on just enjoying my life and living every day. Like otherwise I wouldn't do it.
Yeah. No, it's the same as like, I feel like again, the people don't enjoy the process. It's the same as like when they'll be on stage and they'll be like, oh, I can't wait to eat again or eat this or eat that.
That's all they're focusing on.
I had a conversation, I think, with my mum the other day, and she was like, well, the only thing she was saying towards the end was, I can't wait to train again. Because I'd like come home and she was like, how's my session? She was like, how was your session? I was like,
it's always just meh. Like,
and then I remember saying to her, I was like, it's funny because I do this out of my love for training, but my training wank. So it's like there's nothing fun about going to the gym, doing a devolume session with literally like 2 reps in reserve to 1 rep in reserve and everything. You can't train remotely close to failure because you don't have the stability, and you feel fragile, and like the session that's 8 total working sets puts you in a ditch for 2 days. And you're like, what the fuck? This is not normal. But again, you almost need to appreciate and enjoy that and think, well, it is just part of the process. And I was thinking, well, I'm looking better for it. And then when my training gets into a better spot, I'm almost now where like you get to that point and it's like, it's again a bit uncomfortable where like I don't want to be eating. I've got to eat in 45 minutes from now. And the last thing I want to do in 45 minutes is eat. I could happily be like, oh, I'd love to not eat, but it's part of the process. You've got to eat.
Literally, like, I don't even think about eating. It literally just
comes down. Yeah.
Right, I eat. And I don't even think about how full I am. I don't even think, like, I'm just literally in that position now where I don't even question it. Like, obviously, if I'd be able to tell if my appetite was all of a sudden horrendous and I was shitting myself all the time, I'd be able to shit myself more than usual, particularly more than I normally do. I'd be able to notice, but like, I don't even think about it. It's not like, what benefit is it going to have to me being like, oh, I've got to eat again, I'm full. I don't want to eat that meal. Like, yeah, it doesn't really matter. If I don't, I'll keep.
Do you not think though that's a trend? Like how people, like we said during like when people were in the show season, and you were like, nobody thinks it's that hard, and you get people crying on videos like, oh, it's so hard. And it's like, it's not really. I think
for some people it actually is, because I think
I'd say
mentally not.
They weren't prepared.
They're mentally not they weren't prepared for it. They're not wired up that way, or they weren't brought up in that way. Like the way that we were brought up was pretty much like you can do anything. Like put your mind to it, you do it. Like my mum and dad would never be like, oh, that's too hard, or wrap me in cotton wool when I was a kid. Like if I wanted to do something, they'd be like, right, you do it. If I wanted to buy something, right, earn your own money and buy it. I know that's not the same with you. I know your mum gets everything for you.
Mate. Yeah, just get spoiled. That's what it is. I'm like, Mum,
but you know what I mean? So it's like when it comes to something like that, you've already kind of got those skills already. Like, I'm not looking at anyone else going, why is this happening? Like, I'm not looking at Shannon like, oh, I'm struggling. What do I do? Like, fucking get on with it. It's your own decision. Like, you've put yourself in this position. So, yeah, but I honestly think I think some of it is a trend, and I think it's for attention when people are like, oh, it's so hard. Majority of people, I think that's the case. But then I also think some people legitimately really struggle. But often they're the people who don't end up finishing it. I think if you're struggling that much, people end up sacking it off.
But I also think as well, when it comes to that, it's not only that. I more mean like in a gaining phase when people are like, oh, it's so hard to get food in. It's harder than a prep. It's harder than this. And it's like,
I think if that's the case, you need to improve you need to manage your food better.
Yeah.
Because I've had times in this gaining phase where I've been like, fucking hell, I'm struggling. And then I've gone, right, I need to change something. And I've changed a few different food sources around. And I'm like, there we go. I'm sorted. And it'll probably happen again where I'm like, fucking hell, I'm struggling. And then you go, right, what can you change? And more often than not as well, the times that you're struggling is because you're letting other areas of life take over. So you're letting work take over, or you're not getting enough sleep. So your stress is way too high. Like, if you let those things take over from your normal meal timings, then no wonder you feel like shit and you can't get your meals in. No. Like, you've got to, if you're obviously wanting to take it seriously and you're trying to be the best that you can be, like, you've got to make sure that, okay, it's this time, I need to eat. And that's like the time where, obviously for us, we're quite lucky because we can work our work around it, and we can still work to an extent when we're eating. Like, we'll listen to check-ins and things when we're eating. But I think I've said this before, like, even when I worked in retail and stuff, and I was nowhere near as committed as I am now, like, I would say to him, look, like, this is when I need my break. Like, I'd work like an 8-hour shift. No, like, this is when I need my break. Like, at 4 hours in exactly, please. Like, please, can I have my break then? And 95% of people don't care when they have their break. They're not asking when their break is. So if you ask and you say like, oh, please, can I really have it here? Like, I won't ask you to ever change it. This is when I need it. More often than not, they'll be like, yeah, sound. Yeah. Like, then, and obviously you're not going to take the piss where if it's really busy, you just run off. Like, you'll wait until that busy period's gone and then.
No, mate, I'm sorry. If it's 4 hours into my 8-hour shift, I'm like, fucking hell, anymore, I've lost out on that MPS spike that literally just occurred now.
In the middle of serving a customer.
Hang on, excuse me, sorry.
Sorry, it's meal time. Meal 3.
Yeah, meal time. Meal time, just get out of meal, like, carry on. I should just eat.
But I think people, this is a topic for another day, but I think people are willing to sacrifice things, like aren't willing to sacrifice things enough. Like, they'll be like, oh, you know, I want to be the best bodybuilder I can possibly be. And then they're like, oh, I don't want to prop my phone up in the gym. I don't really want to film that set. I'm a bit worried about what people think. It's like, if you want to be the best bodybuilder that you can possibly be, but you're not willing to send me a video of your training when I know your training could improve, then you don't want to be the best bodybuilder you can be, because you're letting something else get in the way. Nothing can get in the way if you want to be the absolute best you can be at anything. Like, it doesn't matter what it is, really.
Yeah, I can guarantee. And that doesn't correlate, like you said, to bodybuilding. It correlates to everything. You go ask Cristiano Ronaldo, you know, like, it's still like, you heard the stories. Some were probably fabricated, but like, first to training, last to leave. I can guarantee. Like, he'd finish his training and he's
7 years old. Like, he doesn't need to prove anything anymore, but he just wants to be the best for himself.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think that's, like, again, it wouldn't surprise me if Ronaldo after his career, like, went into something else and he was the best at something else, you know, and there's always going to be that, like, obviously skill level is going to be apparent. Like, he's not going to be where he can pick up a new sport or whatever, probably at his age. But if it was like business or anything like that, he'll probably.
Well, like coaching wouldn't surprise me. Like, you saw him in the Euros when he was injured and he was basically the manager from the side, like
hobbling around. Yeah.
Honestly, mate.
Yeah, for some reason, I just can't imagine Ronaldo as a coach, but
I can after watching that. I know what you mean, but after watching him and how he was with his country, I could.
Yeah, I could imagine him doing like a stint with the Portuguese national team, like 10 years from now,
play a manager,
like a tournament, and then he just like sacked. Yeah, well, to be fair, mate, I actually got a question from Alex Kingsley, 45, and it's actually very similar to what we spoke about. So is bodybuilding more a physical or mental game? And I feel like we answered it quite well there. Like, I feel like there's definitely both parts. When you say physical, are we talking physical? Like, what are we talking physical? Because you're just talking like physically elite, like genetic wise.
I think anything is mental.
Yeah, I think.
Literally,
Yeah,
I think anything at
yeah.
all. Yeah. I said this actually to someone. Like I said, if I had the mindset that I have now, we've said this before, when I was a kid, then I feel like I could have literally been like, right, I want to do this, and I'd have, like, football especially. Like, I feel like if I had the mindset I had now and put that in towards spending more time on trying to be better at that, I don't think I would. I can't imagine that I wouldn't have been able to be a footballer. You know what I mean? And it's the same with anything. Like, really, obviously, like, genetics do come into it to a decent extent, but yeah, I think it's all in your head.
Yeah, no, definitely. And like, obviously with bodybuilding, it's more so emphasized on, like, genetics are going to play a big factor, like a massive factor.
Yeah, well,
I'd argue football,
they are, but
and but like, for example, like, if you were to be, you can be physically the most genetic specialized individual ever, but I can guarantee if your mental state is, the second it gets remotely challenging, you can't hack it, whether that's training, whether that's eating, whether that's dieting. Congrats, you never make it on stage, no matter how good your genetics are. You're never going to be in a successful push-up phase, and like, you need a bit of both. And unfortunately, you can have amazing genetics, and you can be mentally okay, you could probably still do really well. But to get to the absolute top level, I can guarantee all the top bodybuilders, top anything in any sport, they have a good combination of the genetic factor, then also mental resilience, and like being very in tune with what they need to do to get there. So yeah, do the fucking hard work.
It is definitely a balancing act. Like, you obviously need both, but
yeah,
if you were to pick one, like, you're not going to do anything without being mentally sound. Like, your brain is in control of anything. So even if you are, like, say, absolutely elite, doesn't matter if you're not willing to get to the gym or get your meals in. Like, none of that really matters if you're not mentally sound. This is why, like, nowadays things like sports psychology and stuff are so important.
Yeah.
I honestly think as well, I've thought this quite a lot, it wouldn't surprise me if in years to come there are bodybuilding psychology coaches. Like, specifically, that is their focus. Like that, and people, and then it'll become a big thing online. Like, it wouldn't surprise me at all, because with how much awareness there is now in terms of mental health and in terms of the benefits of, you know, being healthy mentally and your sports performance, it's massively important in bodybuilding. Like, we've said it before, like, if you don't think that you can do something in the gym, you won't do it. So if you had someone like a really good sports psychologist who was like trying to basically train your mind.
What about a consultation call with Senor?
Maybe that's what you should do.
Yeah.
Honestly, mate, it wouldn't surprise me. It's even something I've thought about doing. Like, let's say I did a psychology degree. Like, you could then legitimately, so obviously we try and help our clients in regards to, like, their mentality and things, but ultimately we don't know psychology theory behind it and things like that. But if we did, that's a massive string to your bow, like being a psychologist as well.
I did do a module, mate. I did do a module.
So did I, but it doesn't make me a psychologist.
I did a module, and I think I got like a 2-1 in it. So technically, I'm going to say that I could do it, because there's no realms in coaching. Like, you could just say anything. I might put, like we said in our bio, like put in PhD
in psychology. I spoke about it in a podcast. Just listen to this podcast. You'll know that I've got a PhD in psychology.
As you guys are knowing from the Once You're in Your Own podcast, I've got a PhD.
Oh, that episode got deleted. I spoke loads about psychology. It must have just got deleted. Sorry. I've definitely got a PhD.
Now taking on consultation calls. That $5,000 out.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me in years to come if that is like quite a big thing. Like, with how online coaching is now, it wouldn't surprise me if in the space of the next 20 years or so, 20, 30 years, it's that popular to have a bodybuilding psychology coach, or you could just class it as like psychology coach for your performance.
Yeah, performance psychology. Yeah. Imagine that. Like, imagine how that would go. Like, you get like a big bodybuilder sat down, and he's like, I'm just really struggling mentally. And he's like, right, open up. And he's like, and you just get like an absolute meathead. He's just sat there and it's like, I just don't know how to even word it. And he's like, right, sir, so we need to look at all spectrums of the current diagram that I've, and he gets out a photo. He's like, you're here on the tree. We need this to be more specialized. We need to be focusing on self-attainment and self-worth.
I feel like it would be very, very much tailored towards bodybuilding. So it'd be like bodybuilders that do it. You know what I mean? I think it wouldn't surprise me if it becomes a popular thing, or even if it just becomes, oh right, this is someone's doing this. And I bet it's obviously it's already a thing now in terms of psychologists.
There'd be some coaches already whose coaching realms would more so be trying on to that. To try and
it wouldn't surprise me though if it starts to become a well-known thing where like bodybuilders are like, like all the top bodybuilders have got a psychologist on their team as well as a coach, as well as a nutritionist. Well, coach can be that as well, but you know what I mean? Like, it wouldn't surprise me.
No, I agree. I think that would be. We'll have a bet, mate. On once you're in your podcast episode like 740, we'll see if we're if there's actually going to be.
We'll both be 70 and be like, oh, do you remember when I said that about that?
Yeah, didn't happen.
You won't be here, mate. You'll be long gone.
Yeah, I'll be dead by that point.
Right, should we get into some questions?
Sure, go for it. I didn't actually get that many. I put my box up later, so I only got. I don't
even see your stories.
Yeah, Instagram's been playing up recently. We said this for some reason. Mine, like Instagram, have not been showing me Finn's story, and Finn hasn't been seeing mine. So, for me to see Finn's story, I have to search it. I'm not too sure if anybody else who listens to this has not been seeing mine or Finn's story, etc. Because my views aren't down on my stories. It's not where like I'm getting like noticeably less. To be fair, I rarely ever check, but like it's not where I'm looking and going, oh my God, it's not getting loads of views. It's more so like if I refresh my Instagram, the first like 3 or 4 people used to be like you, Sanaya, and then that would be it really. Like I'm trying to think, maybe Tim, because I spoke to Tim a few times, you know, like a year ago or whatever. So it'd be like the people that I speak to in the DMs constantly. Not
spoke to a few times a year ago, straight in the top 3.
Mate, it wouldn't surprise me.
Like, no clients, just Tim, someone you spoke to once.
I like Tim. Tim would be there. A few clients that I chat to. But like, mate, if you refresh your Instagram, usually I can guarantee it'd be like there wouldn't be many people. Like, and right now it's completely random. Every time I go on there, so I'm like, oh, Finn hasn't posted a story.
Yeah, it is weird.
So yeah, that's clearly.
Should we smash through them then? Because we've only got half an hour.
20. Yeah, go for it.
All right. So it's going to be like a quick fire, not too quick fire. So my client, Aria, bless her, she's got COVID. She's asked, how much muscle will I lose?
All of it.
All of it's gone.
All of it's gone. Like literally, during this podcast, she's going to lose everything.
Before this podcast, as soon as you see that second line appear on that COVID test, muscle just falls off.
Oh, see, that's why I don't do any of those tests. You know,
I don't.
Yeah. Fuck those tests. Feel horrendous, and I'm like, oh, so I don't think it's COVID.
In all seriousness, you're not going to lose any muscle in the space of a few days. I think, like, obviously we're joking about it, but in the past, like, I'd have thought the same. I'd have been like, even like a deload, like, I'd have thought, oh, I'm going to lose muscle because I'm not training for 3 days, or whatever it may be. Like, your body obviously right now needs to rest and recover, needs to get over the illness that you've got. That's what it's going to be focusing on. You're not going to all of a sudden lose all your muscle. You take, weeks and weeks or months off training, then yeah. But realistically, if you're just resting, if you can still get some food in, if you can still try and keep protein high, like, you're not going to be losing any muscle in the space of a few days.
No, you'll lose just probably a little bit of fullness if food comes down.
Yeah, you'll definitely lose fullness. You won't look as good for a few days, but
no, and you'll probably look a bit tired. Like, your body won't look fresh. Like, you'll probably just have a bit less of a pop to it, and you'll probably look at yourself and go, "Oh my God, I've lost muscle." In reality, that's not muscle. That's literally, as mentioned, fullness, volume of actual
cells swelling.
Yeah, that's literally all it is.
From not training.
Yeah.
I'll ask another one. AJ,
yeah, you do like 3 to 1 because I've literally only got like 6 questions and I've only answered one.
AJ Balwa. Would you rather have permanently locked out elbows or permanently locked out knees? I would have permanently locked out elbows.
So you can't even bend them?
No, but you can still train your chest, you can still train your shoulders. Whereas if you have permanently locked out knees, it's very challenging
You could train your lats as well. Do like a cuffed pull down.
Yeah, but I mean, what you would think about usually pressing.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be able to do this, but you'd still be able to do this.
Yeah, definitely.
This.
Yeah.
Whereas if you have not locked out knees, you can do
can't,
a straight leg extension, but it'd just literally be, you'd already be in knee extension anyway. Yeah. So you'd already be shortening the quad to an extent. You just have to lift your leg up. So you'd be training it through its very, very shortened range.
Yeah.
So I think...
You know what you'd be really good at? You'd be amazing at doing like farmer's carries. Because your knees couldn't bend, so you could literally just put like a gazillion kilos to the point where your spine like compresses and you just fall into a pretzel.
You won't be able to do any kind of squat or leg press.
No.
But also, imagine trying to you couldn't eat.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, I think I'd do legs if I'm honest.
Yeah,
just
if it was in regards to training, I would do arms. If it was in regards to life, I'd do legs.
Yeah.
So legs.
Yeah, fair enough. So what, you value life more than bodybuilding?
Yeah, I just don't want it. I'm not. Like I said earlier, I'm obviously not willing to sacrifice everything. I'm not willing to sacrifice life.
Mate, I feel like, you know what, this is a perfect time to tell you about my psychology coaching that I've now got.
Have you started it up? I recommend it.
I've started up from this podcast.
We'll see it next week. Everyone will be starting it.
Yeah, exactly. So I've got some limited spaces for you, mate. Just and also it comes with a free business mentorship. So it comes with, yeah, no worries, mate. Honestly, deal for you. I'll send you the prices over an email after this, and we can have a discussion. Yeah. I actually had something. I got a question. And he didn't want me to bring it up on the podcast, but I am, so I do apologise. I'm not going to tell who from, but it was one of my clients. Basically, one of my clients signed up last year. His name begins with an F, although I'm just going to say his name. Anyway, a lad called Fraser asked me, and he basically said he was thinking about making an app, and it was more so based off the fact that, what we do, so Google Sheets, WhatsApp communication, etc., all that, like our process of coaching. If he was like, he messaged me on a check-in, would you be interested in an app or whatever? Why have you not already thought of something like this and stuff like that? And I kind of just said to him that the likelihood, do you know what I mean? Imagine all what we do is just one total entity. And I said to him, it's a good idea, but the likelihood of it being more efficient is probably quite low. It'd be a bit of a gimmick, and I don't think I'd be able to get it to run as well. And if it was really, really good, then spot on. But I'm also a bit of a creature of habit, and I'm like, well, what I do right now is fine. And he asked me on the podcast, and he didn't ask last week, and he said he forgot. So I thought what I'd do is I'd ask you, if someone came to you with an idea and was like, oh mate, I want to do an app that has everything involved, but it's on its own, what would your opinion be? I'm guessing yours would be fairly similar.
Yeah, I'd say no. I think, and I've heard this a few times as well, and I've actually had clients come to me from other coaches because they went to an app.
Yeah.
And I think more often
I've not seen an app do it better. That's the thing.
I think what an app does is it makes the system and the service more efficient, but ultimately that takes away from the care. So if we had an app where it was just check in on the app, do everything on the app, if it was the exact same as what we do now, then fair enough. But also, why would you need an app? It wouldn't make a difference. So the reason that people use an app is to make their life easier as a coach and get more clients. And that takes away from the service and the care. And like I say, I've had people come to me and say, oh, my coach started an app and I didn't like it because he wasn't there as much. He wasn't as communicative. He wasn't as available. So there you go. That wouldn't be what I'd want from my service. And also what you've got to think is look at the coaches that are pretty much at the top of the game at the minute. Are they using an app?
Yeah.
So there's a reason why, because it comes across as a gimmick. It comes across as more of a business move than a coaching move.
Oh fuck! I knew my business mentorship was saying that the other day.
Yeah, he did say that. You should use an app. What if I don't want to use that? You've got to use an app. Everybody uses an app on my team. And then I'll come over and we'll get that photo with the 10K glass thing that you've not got yet. Let's pretend you've got it. Let's pretend.
Yeah, let's pretend. Let's put you at, 20K.
Hey mate, just send me a WhatsApp saying, yo, bro, I earned 10K this month, exclamation mark, and like one of those celebration faces with the party popper. And then I'll come around yours with my 10K thing that I just take to everybody.
Nobody keeps it because nobody makes 10K who I coach. But I'm just going to go around and say, smile. All right, cheers, mate. I'll take that back.
Pretend.
Yeah, cheers for that, mate. Thanks for the engagement. I'll take that back. Catch you later. Right, I'll you go, mate. Your questions, because that was from one of my clients, wasn't it?
Okay. This is from Waboz. Wink face.
Waboz.
My gym replaced the Cybex hack by Techno Gym kit. Should I kill myself?
See what he said? He's going to kill himself.
He said, "Should I kill myself?" We can't say yes because then we'd be done for manslaughter.
Yeah.
No, don't kill yourself, please, Waboz.
However, if I was me and Finn were in the same situation, maybe we would.
We wouldn't.
That's not to say that we should
travel to a better gym.
Mate, imagine the cyber, like we lost our heads, didn't we, at Warehouse, because Warehouse got rid of a Life Fitness hamstring curl for a Watson hamstring curl, and they did a few other bits, didn't they? They got rid of a few Life Fitness bits of kit for Watson, and we were both like, what are they doing? Like, they had really good bits of kit, and now it's Watson. But a Cybex hack to a Matrix, with a Matrix or
Techno Gym. Techno Gym don't even do a hack, no. He just said got rid of it for Techno Gym kit.
Yeah,
they probably like swapped it for a full gym of Techno Gym because that's how much it's worth.
Yeah, I bet they did. They were like, this Cybex hack's worth $4,000. A whole gym
for a full gym.
Yeah, we'll just do that for a full gym. Fantastic, that.
I wouldn't kill yourself, mate.
No.
Nah, probably not. But I'd just say
probably not.
Travel to a better gym.
Kill yourself? Nah, probably not. Probably don't kill yourself.
I wouldn't.
Yeah. I wouldn't kill yourself.
This is from DP Fit. I think that's your client, DP.
Yeah.
Big DP.
Big DP.
Top 3 top set songs.
We've been asked this loads. It depends on the moment. Depends on the song. Depends on the time. Depends how much I've rinsed a fucking song. Like, I literally, you only get an emotional response. Like, I feel like every song has a certain amount of listens until you've heard it so many times that no matter what, you just like, yeah.
I think we say this every time. Like, we'll be like, oh, it changes. But Prisoner is one that we do still use, and we've used it for a long time. Yeah,
that's been over.
If I had to pick one, if I was told you're only allowed one, I'd probably use that.
Yeah, I've used it
for my life.
Yeah. You know, the worst thing is, mate, and I'm not even joking, I legitimately remember the first set I ever did to that song, and I was like, that's a good song. It was a barbell bent over row set, and I was at Lutterworth Leisure Centre, and it used to be where I train in Leeds in the week, and I do my Saturday session at that gym. And I remember I did a barbell bent over row, and I was like, I think I did maybe like 120 kilos, and the song came on before, and I was like, I haven't heard this song in ages. And then I heard the drop, and I was like, oh, that's good. And I did the set to it, and I literally remember from that point, I was like, this is a good song. And then last year, I remember we were training, or the year before, I can't even remember when I showed you it, and I was like, this is a good song, this is a good top set song. And then you listen to it, and you were like, yeah, not bad. So yeah,
we started using it, didn't we, through lockdown?
Yeah. So, but that being said, now, like, we did every single press to that song for like 3 months.
Really. We did a few presses to it most sessions.
Yeah, most sessions. And I'd be pissed off because I'd give Finn my phone, and if he went first and he used the song, I'd be like, fuck, I was planning on using that song for my set. And there's a few times where I'd have to do a different song, and then other times I was like, right, I'll do it again. So it'd be like, you'd hear the same song 4 times because it'd be the top set and then the back off set for both me and Finn. But like, now I can listen to it. I probably listen to it once a week, maybe twice a week.
I think I do it like once.
Yeah, I have to pick it sparingly. But yeah, Weekend Prisoner, fantastic song. Very good song, that. So that'd be my number 1. We're gonna go for a 2 or 3. No. There's your one song, Dan.
Actually, I will. So Emotional, Whitney Houston. That's my number 2.
What is it actually called? So Emotional.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't even. Well, I do know why. It's quite good. You know, I don't care. I don't care that I'm on the podcast, and I'm gonna tell you this secret. It's not a secret. You know the drag queens thing that me and Shannon watch.
Wait, what? You watch a drag queens thing, mate? That's fucking.
I told you about it before.
Watch a drag queens thing.
Yeah, so you know that. You know that there was a bit. So there's that song. They basically do this thing where they do the lip sync. So they're basically like lip sync into songs. And there was this one where one of the drag queens like did it and basically won the whole season from doing this lip sync, and like took the wig off. I'll have to send you a video of it. Yeah. Took the wig off, and like all these rose petals came out of his wig. But it was like proper good, and like all the crowd like went crazy, and like even just I was like, that's pretty good. Like, and me and Shannon rewatched it like on YouTube not long ago. This is probably, well, I say not long ago, probably about 6 months ago. And then I was like, I'm going to start using that as a top set song. That's good.
No, that's not too bad. That's not too bad. That's fair enough. It's got all songs have different meanings. Like they all something that resonates well with you, or something that gets you a bit. I find
stuff like anything where, especially like with football, anything where it's like a lot of people, like with energy, going a bit mental about something. So like watching the Watford versus Leicester playoff thing, watching the Aguero goal, even though I hate that, but watching it like, especially when it's filmed from the crowd, it's mental. Like you can almost feel people's energy, like, and then that song that was the same with that. So it's like makes me like get ready for a set. So yeah, that's number 2.
I remember I really liked I liked John Lennon Imagine, just because it's slow. When Liverpool beat Barcelona 4-0, they played that song after the game, and I remember like listening to it and I was like, wow, that's a real cool song, and it was quite fitting to the moment, so I quite like that. The Conte Partolo from Andrea Bocelli, Time to Say Goodbye, I like that.
I find that more before a set.
Yeah, that's not a going in set song kind of into a set. But have you watched the actual when he did it at Leicester when they won the league? If not, mate, you're missing out. It's amazing. So he performs that song. No, because it's in a stadium. Yeah. So he performs that song. I think the game where Leicester lifted the Prem, or just before. So they bring him out, and he stood next to what's the manager? Claudio.
Yeah, Ranieri.
Ranieri, yeah. And like he's literally almost in tears. And like he's literally singing it in front and going around the whole stadium, and everyone's like really quiet. And it's really, really like that's the first time I heard the song. Actually, no, I heard it first time on Step Brothers.
Yeah. That's what I think of it when I listen to it.
And then I heard it again on that, and I was like, that's the first time I listened to it properly, and I was like, wow, that's really, really good. So yeah, I like that. Eminem Survival. Have you heard the Venom Eminem song? Yeah, I like that. I've been doing a few sets to that recently. I'm trying to think what else off the top of my head that I quite like going into a set for. But yeah, I like anything with a good amount of energy. I listened to Zlatan Ibrahimovic's goal. I think I did tell you this. I don't know if I did. Zlatan Ibrahimovic's goal against England. You know, the commentary before my deadlift set the other day. You know, my days, what I got. I don't know if I said that on the podcast. I told someone that. I can't remember who it was. Did I not say it to you? Okay, well, when Joe Hart heads it out and Ibrahimovic overhead kicks it, the commentary's immense.
I don't rate that goal that much. Everybody buzzes off that goal.
It was the commentary. It was like, I've just seen the most insane goal I've ever seen on a football field. And I was like, I quite like that level of emotion. So, yeah. A mix of football and
drag queens.
And drag queens, yeah, exactly. That's it. That's what we want.
Honestly, right. So, the first time... People will know what I'm on about. It's called RuPaul's Drag Race. People will know.
You don't need to back yourself up.
No, listen.
Defensive. Finn, stop getting defensive.
The first time I ever watched it, Shannon was in bed, right? And I was like, what the fuck is this? Literally like, what on earth are you watching? And then like 5 minutes later, I was like, who's that? Like, what's that? What are they doing? And then before I knew it, I was in. And I was hooked.
Do they have drag names? Like, if your name's Finn, would you be called like, I don't know, something really like Mercedes, something really?
They've all got like different names. Some of them are just girls' names. Some of them are stupid names.
Do they have different? You know, when they dress up, do they have different names? Like, what's your name today? And I'm like,
no. They are a drag queen, and that is their drag persona. That's their like drag character.
Yeah. But I didn't know. You know, if you dressed up as something else, you're like,
We ought to do an episode in drag.
Mate, just turn it up. Don't say anything. Just completely. Hey guys, welcome to the podcast.
Fully
We should
dolled
do a
up.
dress
Like,
up
we've got
every week.
makeup artists in and everything.
Yeah, every week we have to dress up and we get a different. That would be a funny one. Like we do questions and then we do dress up topics. So we just every week have to turn up in different kind of attire. Yeah, based off what we've been told to. That'd be quite funny.
It would be. It'd be a bit too time consuming.
Yeah, it would be.
Right. Me again?
Yeah, you again, mate.
DP fit again. Worst thing you've witnessed in a gym? Fights, injuries, etc.
Well, whenever there's a fight, Finn runs off. He leaves me to get beaten up.
Not worth it, is it? Not worth it. Someone.
Yeah, exactly. Worst thing I've ever witnessed in a gym? I'm trying to think off the top of my head. Have you got anything, mate, that springs to...
Not really. In terms of fights, I don't think I've ever seen a proper fight in the gym. I don't think I've ever witnessed anybody like with a really bad injury or anything.
No, I haven't.
I've witnessed like old people like having. I think someone had like a stroke or something at Pure Gym when I worked there, but it wasn't like, oh my god, that's horrendous. It was just like, oh, that's really sad. Like it wasn't like, what's he put? Worst thing I've witnessed. I guess it was one of the worst things. It wasn't nice, but it wasn't like a fight or an injury.
Yeah. Well, like if there's a fight, like you have to, like let's say you're in between a set, you'd be like, fucking hell.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think off the top of my head. Any like beefs or anything I've ever seen, I usually find like if I'm involved, which for the last like 2 years, none, I find them quite funny. Like I always find them quite amusing. But there's that again, like, that's just how people are. Like there's always bell ends, and that's not in the gym. That's like it's the same as if you were at the bar and you saw someone like getting mouthy to somebody. It's like it's just a fucking bell end. It's how people are. But no, I've never seen really a bad injury. We saw a guy get stuck in the Smith machine recently. That was quite funny.
A bad injury there, was it?
No, he just tried to unrack a Smith and just got stuck in it. And I had to help him out because he was stood with the Smith on his shoulder on the bar. And I was like, "You're out there, mate." And he's like, "Yep, managing." And I was like, "Do you want me to help you?" And he's like, "Yeah, please." And I was like, "Okay, cool." But yeah, nothing really that I've seen like a bad injury. I remember I saw a girl once unrack the like, you know, a barbell, like a squat, like she was doing squats. And I think there was a lad who left his plates on, and there was like 3 plates per side on, and she pulled all the weights off one side. And I was on the treadmill, like not near her, but enough to see what occur. And I saw it all happen. Like it was where I wanted to say something, but I was too far away. And I would, if I shouted, I would have just like, everyone would have looked at me, and she might not have even done it. She might have just gone, I know, I'm doing that side next. Because she takes one plate off, then she takes 2. And I'm like,
please walk around.
Yeah. And then she goes at this, and it was at this point it was too late, and she pulls it, and then it just goes bang and falls onto like where the free weight benches are. Luckily
it didn't hit her, but I saw something the same, but it was on the CCTV at Pure Gym. And basically it was like someone had been doing rack pulls, and it was on obviously the racks at the bottom. And I think God knows how many plates were on it, but a girl did the same thing. But obviously because she was like bending over, it like missed her face by probably 6 inches. Like, but it could have easily, like, that could easily kill you.
Yeah.
If that hits you like that, one end of the bar hits you out with 100 plus kilos on the other side of it, with that amount of force when you take the final plate off, it's going to at least do it's going to do a lot of damage, isn't it?
Yeah.
All right, your question, mate. I'm going for a wee.
Sound. I'll just answer. I'll answer one. Pete Royale. Pete, you're gonna have to tell me how you say your surname. I'm guessing it's Pete Royal, not Pete Royale. That sounds a bit too flamboyant. If you were to get a coach, who would your top picks be? And when you go pro, I think that might just be the question. Yeah, it cut off. So I'm not too sure. Would getting a coach be needed? I'm not too sure. And yeah, it will depend really. I quite like the idea of getting a pro card with the current setup that me and Finn have. So me pretty much just calling all the shots and then running it by Finn. I quite like that idea. I feel like if you were to look at the top coaches in the industry, I mean, Callum would be the first thought in the UK. I mean, you've got Joe Jeffrey and the Physique Collective guys who are very, very knowledgeable. You've got obviously overseas in America, you've got like Matt Jansen, etc. But I'd question if you're not an IFBB pro, you're probably going to get the best quality of work from him. Maybe not. So yeah, there's a lot of fantastic coaches out there, and it would be something that I would think about potentially if I was at that pro level and I was almost like stalling, thinking I need to be better, I could be better. But in the grand scheme of things, I'm quite objective with how I am, and I don't think a coach would be like, oh, I've never thought about doing this before. The question, mate, was any top coaches that you'd want to work with, and then it cut off, but I think it was, and when you get your pro card, will you be getting a coach or something like that? And I basically said, if you were to think about it in the UK, you have like Callum, like you've got Joe Jeffrey, who's very knowledgeable in the industry. And Finn's just pointing to himself. And then overseas, you've got like Matt Jansen and the American folk. But I said I quite like the idea of getting a pro card without a coach. And then if I needed one after that, then maybe. But even then, what really changes? Like, I don't think what's your opinion on this? Like,
I think it depends. It completely depends on the level that you're at. Like,
yeah, I agree.
I have some clients who I know for a fact could coach themselves, and they'd be sound. But they like having that extra level of accountability. They like the decision making being taken away. Like Andrew, for example, like he could coach himself. He was coaching himself, and he was making good progress, and he was sound. Yeah. But he was basically getting busier and busier with his own coaching. And he was like, right, I don't want to be thinking about what changes I need to do for myself. I don't want to be thinking about my own programming. I want someone else to just deal with that. And that's absolutely fine. And obviously, especially if it's someone that you really, really trust and you know for a fact that they're only going to better you, then I think that makes sense. But I think for a lot of people, especially like for someone like you, or for people who generally don't feel like they're going to benefit that much from having a coach, it's almost like you say, if you were to be coached by Callum, let's say, would it actually make that much of a difference?
No,
probably not.
No,
there might be.
Not going to give me any more accountability or any more structure.
No accountability. No, not all.
No,
I think
I wouldn't gain anything from that. I think knowledge at the top end of performance enhancing drugs could potentially be a factor, but then I'd argue again, like my knowledge in that field is definitely to a very decent standard already. So it would be a bit where, like, again, and the only thing else I could actually imagine from would be like more so the fact of, let's say, if I was to go overseas and compete, let's say if I was to go and do a show elsewhere, I would probably be like, oh, I wonder how I book in. I wonder who I speak to. Like, he'd probably know the person you get your tan from. You text these guys, this is this place you stay. Yeah. So it's probably a little bit more knowledge in that area. But if you were to talk about training, I don't think I'd really gain much, if I'm honest. If you were to talk about nutrition, I don't think I'd really need much. If you were to talk about accountability, again, I probably wouldn't gain much. And that's nothing about Callum. That's more so about how I am as an individual.
Yeah, exactly.
So
it's nothing about my
Yeah, exactly. Like, I probably would learn a few things, but it would be where I'd question again, would it make it more enjoyable for me? Probably not. I quite enjoy the path that I'm on. And like I said, if it was where it would be beneficial from a lot of aspects, I think potentially, but I think for the vast majority of individuals who require coaches and need coaches, like you said, like it's almost where they're going to gain something out of it. And I'm not in that position where I think I'll gain much more, if I'm honest. The only thing I could ever really think of is if I said to somebody, like, for example, with how we are, and I was to say to somebody, let's say regarding like PEDs, I'd be like, right, tell me what to take and I'll just take that. And I would not think too much, because that would probably think something you could overthink. But again, I'd probably still have in my own head, I'd be like, are you really sure you need to be doing, could we not be doing this? And I'd be questioning that.
Questioning things when it's on your own.
And then again, that's not in a prep. Yeah, in a prep, the last thing you want is any question.
To have a coach that you not I wouldn't say you don't question things, because that's a good relationship to have, but where you almost would run through a brick wall for them. You know what I mean? Like, if you have that relationship, like we do with a lot of our clients, like where you know that if you say, right, we're going to do this, they'll do it, and no questions asked. They're like, yeah, that's what I trust you. I know what I need to do. Like, if you have that relationship, you're going to do well. But you've got that relationship with yourself. Like, I've got that relationship with myself. If I change something in my diet, I'm not going to be like, oh, actually, I just overeat today. And likewise, if I had a coach, I wouldn't do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like, if you've already got that relationship with yourself, and you already sort of feel like you have the knowledge and you're already on the right path, then I don't think you necessarily need to change something. But a lot of people don't have that. They're not on that sort of path, or they don't have that sort of accountability themselves.
Yeah, I agree. Right, I'll leave my rest one, mate. Let's get through like 2 or 3 more, and then we'll wrap it up. That's cool.
So Miles has asked.
Okay.
He asked you. I think he asked you the other day. Did he message you about it?
He messaged me. I spoke to Miles a few times. What's he said?
What did he message you?
I could get the message up. I don't actually know, if I'm honest. I think he was talking about. I think he was taking the piss. I don't know. What's he asked you, mate?
Because he put you.
So he said to me, "Oh yeah, it was on Friday, right? The e-girls, right, and then the i-ladies." So what's he asked? What's he asked you?
He's asked that. So I googled it.
Mate, I've spoke to Miles, all right? I spoke to him. We had this planned. Yeah,
exactly.
This planned.
I'm not an idiot.
Yeah,
I googled it, and I've just made you say it.
Yeah, he said to me, "Me and Perrin are relying on you today." He went, "Right, big boy. Me and Perrin are relying on you." And I put, "Say no more. I got you." And then he put, when he reads out the line, and then he goes, "Your line is, I laid these nuts on your face." Literally, he said it word for word, bracket to bracket, comma for comma.
So I've done it. I've done you. I should have done it the other way around.
No, I was so annoyed because I was like, "Man, that's what I say to you. What did he say? What did he say?"
Exactly. I'm not falling for it, guys. I'm one step ahead. I've told you. I'm always ahead.
It's your age. People are thinking, "Oh, Reece is, he's a young spring chicken at 23."
You're a year younger than me.
Finn, mate, you're 25 in 2 months. They're thinking, Finn, almost 25. That's half of 50.
I'm not getting done by that.
Yeah, right.
I know what Miles is like. This is right. I've got a long one from Ped. I don't even think it's a question.
Right. Are we ending this with Ped? We're ending it with Ped.
Right, we'll end it with Ped, but I have got a few more, but we can get back round to them next time. Fun fact. This is from Ped. Fun fact. Okay. Once I saw a person doing squats in a particular way. I approached him and asked him the reason for that execution. He replied that he thought the easy barbell curvature was for putting the neck in. He was squatting with an easy barbell on his neck. Luckily, he didn't think of putting something else in the curvature. See you guys, you're so great and funny.
So he's like, "Okay, cool." Luckily, he didn't think of anything else. And then he was like,
even a question. Cheers, Ped.
No. So what? So, Ped, can we just ask?
He messaged me.
Just for science. Yeah, can we ask him? We need to see a photo of what you were thinking about putting in there. Just for science. We need to both get a photo of what you were thinking about putting in the curvature.
He messaged me saying, "I'm going to just add a fun fact section to the podcast. I'm not going to ask a question."
Fair enough. Ped's wild, isn't it?
If anybody else wants to join in, please feel free.
Yeah. Ped's wild.
All right. Leave it there then.
Yeah. That's all good. Was there any other questions that we do you reckon we could speed run them in a minute or two or not?
Will Bertolini, if multiple clients are competing on the same day, which show will you go to? The show that more clients are competing in.
Yeah. What if it was 1-1-1? Like, let's say it's 3 shows, 1 in each.
And the show that I, in my opinion, believe is the most important.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, like, let's say it's someone's first ever show and it's 2 other clients' third show of the season and it's a qualifier when they've already qualified for a different fed, then I'll be like, right, I'm going to go to this guy's show because he's never competed. He needs me there. Like, whoever's is the most important at that time, in my opinion.
You did some fantastic management last year for the PCA and then the UK DFBA one.
I know I did.
Yeah, ridiculous time management, that.
Speeding across to Birmingham.
Yeah.
J Murphy Fitness, proudest moment of yourselves and each other. It's quite a long one, that.
Yeah. Do you want to start next week's with that?
Yeah. We'll leave the rest then.
Yeah, that's sound. Right. There we go. Do apologise about times. We actually hopped on a little bit earlier today. I have physio at 3 and I have to eat before. And then pretty much, usually we do this about 6:36, don't we? But Finn doesn't have physio, so I thought like we'd hop on a little bit earlier. And it means that we can actually probably chill out this evening, which will be quite nice. So yeah, that's that. So I do apologise. It's been about an hour, but I know our last few have been about an hour and 20, and we've got through a question. So we do apologise. We'll get through the remaining questions next week. And other than that, that is episode 39. We'll look forward to welcoming you back to episode 40 next week. And yeah, we'll catch you guys in the next episode. Thanks for the story tags and everything, all the questions. See you later.